Washington, D.C., you are probably just chomping at the bit to vote on the Omnibus bill because, from your perspective, the increase in military funding has been a long time in coming. And do you think it is enough to deal with the needs that our military has right now?
It's not enough to fix our problems, but it's probably the right amount to be spent this year. You know, a lot of people don't realize we're spending 20% less on our military today than we were spending 8 years ago. And yet the world has gotten a lot more dangerous. Our military has declined. We have too many accidents, for example. So this bill begins the rebuilding process. Unfortunately, it's one of those big old bills that's going to have good and bad and ugly all in it. But the good, to fix our planes and ships and training, is a really, really important thing to do now.
And earlier this hour, we were reporting that the president had some misgivings about the Omnibus only having, $1.6 billion in border security funding for the wall. And he was going to ask Speaker Ryan to come up and explain to him why that made sense. Well, we just have this in from John Roberts, our White House correspondent. He said that the president has signed off on the $1.3 trillion omnibus bill after meeting with the speaker. The president saying that it contains money for the border wall, money to rebuild the military, as you were just saying, and gives service members their biggest pay raise in a decade, and begins funding for his opiate addiction priorities as well as infrastructure. So, as you said, nobody's going to be happy with everything in it, and maybe not happy with the process. But talk to me about not just the equipment, but the pay raise for service members. Certainly a long time in coming.
Well, and we spend a lot of time talking about the planes and ships and equipment, but our most valuable asset are our people. And in certain areas, we're having a real shortage, for example, of pilots or aircraft mechanics. But there are a number of things in this bill that help take better care of our people. They help us recruit the right kind of people, retain those folks, and then give them the tools they need to do the job, because training of our people is just as important as buying them new planes or guns or ships or things. And we've neglected some of that training. That's part of what caused those accidents in those destroyers out in the Pacific.
And our Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon has been on top of that. How quickly will service members see this raise? Well,
right away. And so it will have that impact right away. And then the president has proposed another raise, not quite this big, but another raise for next year. So the key is we're showing our people, but we're also showing people around the world, adversaries and allies alike, that we're serious about investing in our defense. We're going to stand up and defend ourselves. We're not going to keep cutting.
And do you think that this will help with recruiting?
Absolutely. When they know that we're serious about it, that it's not just a one-off, that we're going to stay with it, this pay raise, the next pay raise, etc., that helps people look at the military as a career. And again, we need the best and brightest this country can produce.
Absolutely. All right, Congressman Mac Thornberry, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.